Maina. I'm a hairstylist at Car West. On the 23rd, it was on the 23rd evening, after closing my workplace. Like usual, I prepared to go home. I usually close around 6:30. It's not a long way from my place of work to home. In fact, I usually pass by the police post while going home. So on this particular day, like it is my routine, buying groceries, doing whatnots here and there, I got a little bit late, but I never changed my route. I used the same route that I had always used, just next to the police station. Only that this day, I met the policemen that we are getting out of the camp to go and enforce the curfew. On the particular path that I was passing, I met two of them. One was to my right and the other one was to my left. So you see, they were caning people and I was like, okay. I tried to evade the guy on my right. Unfortunately for me, the guy on my left hit me. It was not a beating, it was just but a hit. We never argued, they never asked me any questions. I was just ambushed, hit. I fell down, lost my conscience, and when I came to, I was bleeding very much. I had lost some personal belongings. So what I did, I just walked a few blocks, since it's not so very far away from my workplace. Got a friend who lives nearby. I walked to my friend's place, asked for her for help. We then walked a few distance to some two nearest dispensaries that are around the place, and they could not attend to me. It was that much critical. They had to send me elsewhere to a higher hospital where I could seek medical help. I went back to the police station. For one, the curfew time had already came into place, so I could not just move around without a permit. Next, I had been beaten and I was bleeding. I could not just seek medical treatment, I had to get a P3 form. And thirdly, the means of transport were kind of, you see, there's nobody else now rushing here and there. There's no Uber, and if at all you were to get a vehicle, most probably those essential service vehicles. So I tried to reason with the guys that I found at the station about how they could give me a permit, a P3, and maybe some means of transport, since it was serious, or get me to a hospital. On that particular day, I just don't know what happened to them. They just did not give me any help. They denied me a P3, denied me a pass, and in fact chased me away. In fact, they even called me names. So whomever I was with called a very close person to me, told him how much I was injured and how I had tried to seek medical help at Car West and failed, and I had to be taken to a bigger hospital. They did come by, they came around with a vehicle, took me first to Kiambu level 5, where I was given some first aid treatment to stop the bleeding and whatnot. Then we were referred to Kenyatta National Hospital, where on reaching, the doctor advised I should be scanned first. So I was x-rayed, so the throat had swollen and the cut was quite big. After the MRI scan, it was found that I had broken the nasal bone. The nasal bone was broken. I had also fractured a few teeth to my left, and the doctor advised that I would the only way forward would be through a theater, where the nasal bone would be restructured. They had to mend the wound in a manner that it could still be presentable even after the scar had healed. Afterwards, I was admitted to the ward, where I stayed for 3 days, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, when I was discharged. Afterwards, I did come out and started following up on the case. I did record it is not literally a statement, it was a report. That is the day that I was given an OB report. I have been discharged from the hospital. The OB report was to help me find the P3 from wherever it could be given at. I understood then it could not be given at Car West, so I was sent to some place in Nairobi area, where I found the offices had been closed indefinitely due to the pandemic. According to how these cases are handled, you can never record a statement without a P3 form or an OB number. So it's a procedure. You get an OB number, you fill the P3 form, then you record your statement. Now without the P3 form, I could not record a statement, so it was like my case had stalled. It was not until some human rights activists came into play that I was helped by them to file a P3 report. I did it at Mbagathi Hospital. I also recorded my statement at Kasarani. It took like a week for me to record my statement after I'd been brutalized. The case seems to have attracted so much attention. It had so much pressure. I was receiving so many calls from journalists, activists, lawyers, and all sorts of guys that thought they could help. It was not something that I had anticipated for. To me, it was just but a normal Saturday. A stylist usually get busy Saturdays and Sundays, since these are the days that most of the guys are not going to work. This is the time they take their time out to go and groom themselves. So usually on Saturdays and Sundays, I'm usually busy. So it was funny to go home, report my case, then find some guys on social media and some other platforms talking of how drunk I had been when I suffered my blow. Some claimed they had seen me in fact. Some others claimed that I had been beaten by thieves. The police officers at the station claimed that I had fallen down and broken my nose. I never imagined that I could ever go through a theater. No. It was all new. And then you can imagine that you had been beaten by police officers. They did not have an insurance cover. So you can imagine the process that people go through when seeking medical attention and they are not insured. It took like 5 good hours to have my forms filled in while I was still bleeding there waiting for my time to come. After the forms had been filled in, you have to deposit some money before you can be attended to. You see, I did not have money that I had planned to use with this kind of thing. So I was still the sick guy and still the guy that was sorting out my finances, calling this guy there, another person there to help with the money. And once it was all over, after I was discharged, to me it was all about healing, getting my health back and going back to work. That seemed not to have been the case, since after being discharged on Wednesday, there was an uproar on social media on Thursday and I had to move out of my place. Like I could no longer live in my own place because there was this guy who were planning demonstrations. Each and everybody wanted to get hold of me, and I had not recorded a statement. You know what happens with all the fears of the police cases that have been happening in Kenya and all that issue of prosecutions, pretrial prosecutions and all that. So I was advised to move out of my place first, move to some other guy's place where nobody knew I was living there. Then came the media. It was happening so fast. All of it was happening so fast. I have been living in Car West for the past 5 years. I'm good at what I do, so I'm a popular guy. So when it came about that I had been hit, each and everybody was like, who the hell did that? And why would they do that to me? You see, now guys from around the area, they were protesting the injustices that had been meted to them, like it had been occasional. On the Wednesday that I was discharged, there happened to have been a guy who was beaten by police officers, and the guy posted it on social media. So whomever had taken me to hospital, they still had the pictures they had taken of me at the police station, at hospital. So they did share them on the social media platform. So by the time morning came, each and everybody thought that the scenario had taken place on Wednesday night, not the previous Saturday. On Thursday when I was being discharged, on Thursday after I had been discharged, so people are waking up to news that Maina had been beaten. So they thought it had happened the night before. Only it had happened on a Saturday, but nobody had nobody had that much time to look into it. Since you see, I had to, whomever was concerned had to rush me to hospital, take care of me and all that. So when it came out in a manner that surprised even those who did post the pictures. They started receiving calls as soon as they posted the picture from human rights activists, lawyers, and all those guys that are concerned with these kind of cases. If you even visited the crime scene, there are no shops around that place. It's an estate, in fact. There are no shops, no kiosk, nothing. It's just but a path that we usually pass by when going home and to work. For once, I did not expect to meet police officers there, and okay, I also don't know how I expected to be treated, since I had failed to beat the curfew time. But then, however I was treated, I don't think it was fair too. I don't think I deserved that. You see, during these times, each and every other person has been hit in one way or the other financially by the pandemic. It's not so easy to be brutalized by a police officer, then head up to a hospital and you have to cough up to 100,000 shillings. To me, being an officer is just like any other job. I don't take them badly, since, okay, I don't know what they had been directed to do to those they find late. Okay, kind of understand the kind of, okay, the environment they have to work in, but you can never understand some of these things, since not all cops are bad guys. I also believe not all cops would have done the same to me if they had found me outside there. Some would have been different, like a little bit easy on me. Maybe some others would have been a little bit rash on me, harder maybe. But I think police officers are just but police officers. They have been trained to either defend or attack whomever it is that they are dealing with. They are equipped, like they have the guns, the batons and whatnots. Whomever hit me with a baton that had been issued to him by the government. So it looks like maybe it was just but another bad day at office for him, another unlucky day for me, another unlucky evening for me. To me, it seems like a cycle. I get brutalized today, I seek for justice tomorrow, and the day after, the guy seeks his revenge, since he was in his line of duty. Many people think that I should seek justice, of which to me, justice is more or less like a mean of compensation, but afterwards, it will be all about the punishing, the conviction, and maybe even the sentencing of the officer that did this, which to me does not seem right. My mom tells me to pull this thing off. Well, she's glad I'm fine, she's glad I'm healthy. It could have been worse according to her, so I should just let it rest, move on with my life, and in fact most probably move out of Kaha West and start some new life somewhere else. Because the police are the police. The police are the system. And to what I've come to see in this case, they very much care about each other and they very much want to protect each other. I've never heard of an organization that defends or fights for police rights. Like now I have all kind of human rights all around me, protecting and agitating for my rights. But then the police are left alone. So it's all upon the police officers to defend one of their own. If at all one is caught, he is punished by the same government that he was working for while committing the crime, loses their job. They are breadwinners in some families, they may be sentenced, and so you just don't know how a police officer gets to adapt after life in prison. What do they come out to do? When you record a statement at a police station, you give all your details, like your name, your ID number, your phone number. You even give the name of your village. That information is left with them there. If at all that guy wants to come back at you, he has the information. I just don't know how safe is the information that they hold there. If like for now the guy that did this to me, who is known to me, gets convicted, how assured I am that he'll never come to cross that information?
Two mistakes don't make a right. The fact that a person has gone out of the curfew hours, you must first of all come out as a policeman and get to know why. There could be a very good reason why the person got late, very good reason. Your car has broken down, or you expected to get public transport and they stopped early and you don't have a place to sleep and you don't have money, you decide to walk. There are genuine cases which police should even support and enable you to reach your home. But if there's a dispute on that, then the person ought just to be arrested and be charged in accordance to the law. It would not be fair for them to have done that. But in an event a police officer refuses to take your record, the most important thing is hospitalization. If you are hit and you are hurt, the first thing you must achieve is to go to hospital and be treated even before you report. And when you go and report and the police refuse to take your report, then we have the Internal Affairs Unit under the police. It's out of the police building. Currently in Nairobi, it is at the KCB Plaza in Upper Hill. You go and make your report. They will go and record it themselves in the occurrence book. After all, they are policemen. If that cannot be achieved, you go to IPOA. Make a report of civilian oversight. They'll ensure that report is booked and they'll carry out investigations. And officers, including the one who refused to book the report, will take action against them.
The law was not meant to punish people. The law was meant to bring order and have good relationship between and across institutions, people being the first institution. And therefore, people have a right to walk, to move. And in the event that they are moving past hours that are unsubscribed, the law should take its effect. And the result of that depends with the police officer doing that. So if a police officer arrests you, there's Article 49 of the Constitution that speaks about rights of arrested persons. Number one, the police should tell you why he's arresting you. Number two, he should tell you under what section he's arresting you, in a language that you understand. And looking at COVID-19, the best that that police officer could do is to take you to the police station and give you a free bond, or what they call the police bond, for you to appear in court later. Because if he put you in the cells, what happens? You are a risk to the other people who are in the cells, because nobody knows your status. So you endanger others, and even yourself. You could not be having the disease, and if you go into the cells, if someone has it, you are likely to get it. So we have rights for arrested persons that are well stated in the Constitution. If a police uses his force to brutalize you, first of all, we have standard operating procedures. What a police officer is supposed to do when they come across someone who has broken the law and they must arrest that person. They will only use, and they say, reasonable amount of force if you resist arrest. If you resist arrest, and in their own estimation or in their discretion they think you look violent, they could use some level of force. But that force should not be detrimental to your health. So there's no space for brutality in any police service. I tend to think police force in this country has not transited to a national police service. But that has a background. The training of police officers in this country is militaristic. The aspects of community involvement, the aspects of relationships, attitudes, and the culture we have around how we employ law is what is our problem. If you go back to what is happening in the US right now, you've seen police officers who have brutally dealt with protesters. But you've seen police officers who have actually engaged protesters and had a discussion and hugged and agreed, you are doing your work, we are also protesting. And police say, just so keep your space. Just ensure that you are not vandalizing. Just ensure that you are not stealing from anyone. Just ensure that you are not undermining anybody's freedom. So at what point do we reach as a country and do we have that kind of attitude and that kind of culture that ensures that people and police can have a conversation. So there's no room for brutality. And in the event that you're brutalized, and this is proved, you have a right to address the court. You need to move the court and make claims that you have made, and the government is supposed to compensate you for the losses. Recently, I think there was a case over media of somebody who was in the cells for 23 months. I mean, in prison for 23 months for something he never did, for wrongful arrest. And the court has ordered that he's paid about 4.5 million for the loss of what he has gone through. So we have avenues. But it's one thing to have avenues, it's another knowing about those avenues. And I think that's the biggest problem that most community members have.
This one also needs to go for counseling, because the brutality by itself, that is a traumatic experience. And first of all, what we need to look at is to what extent was he affected in terms of his emotions? To what extent was he affected in terms of his cognitive, in terms of his physical health? Was he hurt in any way? Because if he was hurt, number one, I think he should seek for treatment for his physical health, and again, also seek treatment for his emotional and cognitive and also social health. Because without seeking treatment or seeking counseling for all those dimensions, he might not be able to cope with whatever happened in his life.
Will I ever be safe again? That's the question that I keep asking myself. Or will I from now henceforth keep on living and looking behind my shoulder whether there's someone following up? I have to live with the scar of a victim, and the mentality, the mentality of, I don't know, it's tricky. And then you find that the guys that keep on saying this and that. You see, you just don't know what anybody goes through until you get to go through that same path.